You find me at the Malvern Show 2023, surrounded by some stunning eucalyptus and a gorgeous Hillary.
Thank you very much.
Just catching up on a lot of problems have happened this winter with severe frost.
Yes.
Huge losses. A lot of people don't know what has survived the winter. They know that certain things are dead.
Yeah.
Did you suffer with your eucalyptus this winter, Hillary?
Yeah, certain species have succumbed. So there's a lot of factors that influence the hardiness in eucalyptus. So if you look at the RHS website, it says what is hardy, and it says anything that survives an average British winter. So we're looking at about -5, -6, whereas this year we recorded -13.
Yes.
I know parts of Scotland had hardly any frost, others got hit quite badly, and Kent, I know 2 people had -17.
Yes, I had -15 in Ewhurst, Surrey.
It's really quite severe, and that was for a couple of weeks. So what's gone on with eucs? Well, provenance is really important with eucalyptus. Is it hardy seed? We source as hardy seed as we can. How it's grown is important, so it doesn't want a high nitrogen diet, it wants a high potassium diet. And
get those roots going.
Yeah, well, the
and
potassium.
To harden them up.
Yeah, potassium is really important for hardening off for winter. It needs to be deep rooted. So eucs are quite laid back. They come from Australia, and in this country they will become shallow rooted if we don't persuade them otherwise. So what we want people to do is to dig a mine shaft, not a bomb crater.
Right.
We want to dig a hole 18 inches deep. So you go down about half a metre.
So it's a lot deeper than you would do for a normal tree.
Yeah. And we don't want a bomb crater because we don't want it to wobble.
Yeah.
So really only just slightly wider than the root ball. You fill that mine shaft with good quality topsoil mixed with sharp sand. We don't want any compost in there.
Yep.
And the sharp sand's really important to allow drainage, particularly for the winter months. You plant into that at normal depth or slightly deeper, and then the roots will go, well, it's much easier to go down because I've got loose soil, and they'll go down to where, in a bad winter, the soil is +6 degrees. There will be water available, and it's a lot warmer. And what we found at the nursery with our trial plantations is that where we have got old established trees with deep root systems, they've been absolutely fine, whereas the newly planted stuff in the autumn, which had a shallow root system and it hadn't had the opportunity to get its roots down, they've got brown leaves. And so the only thing people can do at this stage is wait and see, which is very unfashionable. In this age of Amazon, I can get it tomorrow.
Yes.
Wait and see, which is just good gardening.
Yeah.
With eucalyptus, they've got buds all the way up to the stem, dormant, up to about waist height. And some of them, not all of them, will also have a lignituber. A lot of Antipodean plants, acacias, that sort of thing, have lignitubers, which is like a woody donut at the base of the trunk.
Yes.
So if the top growth is gone, then it's not going to shoot from that, but it might shoot from the lower stalk. Yeah. If that's gone on a young tree, then it may come back up off the lignituber, but not until July, August.
Yeah. So you've really got to be patient.
Yeah.
And of course, some of them you can really prune hard if they're just romping away and got too big.
Yes.
When would you suggest is a good time to prune your eucalyptus?
March the 18th.
Oh, really? Is that your birthday?
No. March the 18th is National Eucalyptus Day in the UK.
Oh, I didn't
March
know
the
that.
25th is National Eucalyptus Day in Australia.
Right.
It's also St Sheila's Day, which there is a blog post about. The reason for this is that it's 2 days before the spring equinox.
Right.
Eucalyptus are very responsive to day length and temperature. And so once you get into April, you've got massive growth starting in a normal year. Not
Yes.
this year, it's been too cold. So all we've said to people this year is go and look at your tree on March the 18th, just gone. Assess what you want to do for pruning.
Yep.
But maybe leave it a couple of weeks until it gets a little bit warmer.
Yeah, because this has been a cold spring.
Yeah, and a long
one.
Long cold spring.
Yeah.
So, but delay pruning up until the point where you think it's just starting into growth, then you can prune it.
Yep.
And you can do a hard prune in the March-April time. Then you let it come into growth. And then we want people to do tip pruning as they get into the end of May, early June time.
Right.
So you've got a spring prune and the Chelsea chop.
Yes.
The light pruning in June encourages bushiness.
Bushiness. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then really no more pruning after mid-July. Wait until the next March.
Okay. And any feed for your
So,
eucalyptus?
High potassium fertilizer.
So something like tomato feed?
Yeah, watch the phosphorus levels. They
Okay.
don't really like high phosphorus. Phosphorin's quite good. Chempac number 4 is very good.
Yes.
If you're adding a lot of potassium, you may want to add a little bit of Epsom salts in a hot summer, because potassium will kick magnesium out the ballpark and you start to get yellowing in the leaves.
Right.
This is bucket chemistry time.
Yeah.
So, but high potassium will help ripen wood. It's the first aid system of the plant. It controls water movement in the plant, and it helps it lay down fibre going into the autumn.
Brilliant.
So potassium late summer is really important. And this is the same for Japanese maples and acacias and a lot of things that might get wind scorch.
Yeah. And you've got a fabulous display. Congratulations on your gold
Thank
medal.
you very much.
I know apart from gunny eye, you've got such a collection now of eucalyptus. Any particular ones? Because I remember planting Rodway eye.
Yes.
Because that one likes it really wet.
Yes. Yeah. So not all of them like it dry. You've got the swamp gum series, Camphoras, Rodway aggregata. Then you've got Stellulata, likes it wet. We're majoring on a lot of dwarf species these days. So you've got, for dry soil, you've got Gregsoniana, the snow gums like Bogong and Buffalo.
Yes.
So they don't grow into monsters. So you can grow them as multi-stemmed. There's also...
and if you were to do a hard prune, say for instance
Yes.
on that gunny eye, and to make it a multi-stem, you're saying going back to sort of March, April
Yes,
time?
you want to do that in spring.
Okay.
Yes. If you prune a eucalyptus going into the back end of the year, there's a very high chance that you could kill it.
Okay.
So it's not worth it.
That's very useful
they only
information.
heal. It's a bit like plum trees. You
Yeah.
know, they only heal when the sap is rising.
Yeah, the way I remember it, it's anything with a stone in it.
Yes.
So peach, plum, nectarine,
Yeah.
all of those with the stone and cherries,
Yeah.
prune them in the summer, June to
Yeah.
September time.
And it's the same
So-
with eucalyptus. If you prune them in the back end of the year, they can get silverleaf fungus like plum trees can.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Trouble is you don't notice because they've got blue leaves. So it's important to do the pruning early and then leave them alone in the back end.
Any other little final tips that we ought to know about on your
Oh,
eucalyptus?
they've got to be air pot grown.
Okay.
So this
Yes.
is a very, very large air pot.
Yeah, yeah.
We do smaller ones are available.
And there are even bigger still, because I
Yes.
planted some 6 metre tall trees, 8 metre tall trees
Yes.
from Hilliers, and the
Massive.
root balls were
Yeah, yeah.
enormous.
So they've got to be air pot grown, invented in Australia for eucalyptus to stop them from falling over. But now Kew and Wisley and all good nurseries are using them for hardwood trees.
Yep.
And essentially, they gently air prune the roots because the roots are forced out
I
through
don't
the
know if you
hole.
can see this, Paul,
Yeah.
but there are tiny little holes within, and you can see daylight through.
So it forces the roots to come out through the holes. They get air pruned off, and you wind up with a root system like a baby's bottle brush. If you put them into a smooth wall pot, they start to spiral,
Yeah, go around
and then
the way.
they'll fall over.
Fabulous.
So eucalyptus have to be air pot grown.
Hilary, many thanks for your
thank
time.
you.
Have a good Malvern show.
Yes,
And
it's good.
thank you for the chat and the
Lovely
lovely
show.
tips about eucalyptus.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And it's Grafton Nurseries.
Yeah.